Let's talk about osteoarthritis. Although there are more than 100 forms of arthritis that affect nearly 60 million Americans, 1 in 3 vets live with arthritis. Osteoarthritis is by far and away the most common form of arthritis. Next slide. Again, our speaker, Lynn Chang, will be here hopefully soon. Next slide. We'll talk about the causes of arthritis, common treatments for arthritis, and building a care team. That care team, especially in the Veterans Administration and accessing care as a veteran. Next slide. Of course, everything that I say and Dr. Chang says today about arthritis is not personal medical advice. Always double check with your own healthcare team to see if anything that we talked about is appropriate for your care. Next slide. All right, it's important to talk about, understand arthritis and how it affects a joint. You can see on the left side of the screen, a healthy joint with that white cap on the ends of the bones, that is cartilage. And cartilage is a cushy, almost frictionless surface. And when it works, our joints work so well that we don't really feel our bones moving over each other. But what can happen with osteoarthritis, as you see on the right side, where that cartilage becomes pitted, frayed, torn, starts to look at maybe like some of the roads in the winter time with all those potholes and divots. And that can be caused by a number of things. It can be caused that causes damage in that cartilage. And when we have missing cartilage, our bones can scrape against each other, and that's painful because our bones have nerves in them. And there are folks that will say, I have, bone on bone arthritis, and they're not lying. It's actually true, and that bone scraping can be as painful as a broken bone. Next slide. So osteoarthritis is more common in women. Again, it's the most common type of arthritis, although everyone can get osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis tends to start in younger adult years and tends to get worse over time. Around age 50 is when folks start to see sort of more and more pain associated with osteoarthritis, typically in weight-bearing joints like hips and knees and ankles, but also folks that work in agriculture and manufacturing may have a lot of arthritis in their hands. The base of the thumb is a very common area for folks to get arthritis. And this is because osteoarthritis can be caused by a number of factors, including genetics. It just runs in some families, but it also can be caused by overuse and abuse of a joint. So doing the same task over and over again, especially if you're in malalignment. Our friend Ned Stoller will talk about that when he talks about some of the tools that can help mitigate that. And then also carrying extra weight. If you are overweight, you put extra stress on your joints, especially your hips and your knees. Those joints are the most commonly replaced joints. So those are the most common type of arthritis and the reasons for it to develop. Next slide. Again, osteoarthritis can affect just about every joint, but again, joints that bear a lot of weight or get a lot of use, you see everything from the neck down to the ankles. Next slide. These again are some of our common risk factors. Again, age, you don't get arthritis because you get older, but it's certainly a risk factor. Again, injury to a joint, folks that work in agriculture, manufacturing, if you aren't careful, and even if you are, you can have an injury, and even injuries that you think you fully recover from can come back to haunt you later in life because maybe there was some minor damage to joint that occurred when you were a young adult, and over time that joint cartilage started to get more and more pitted, frayed, torn, and to the point where it starts to become a problem causing daily pain. Again, that overuse and abuse, obesity, and genetics are also big factors in osteoarthritis. Next slide. The number one symptom of osteoarthritis, like all forms of arthritis, is pain. pain in the joint. And if you have pain in a joint that's not from an acute injury, it's not because you fell, it's not because you overused a joint on a particular day, but if you're having pain in a joint that lasts for more than 2 weeks and it's in the same place and it's really bothering you, it's time to talk to a physician to find out if it is arthritis. I talk to lots and lots of people that I tell them I work for the Arthritis Foundation, and they say, well, I have lots of pain in my knee. And I'll say, do you have arthritis? And they'll say, well, maybe, or probably. And I'll say, well, have you ever had a doctor officially diagnose you with arthritis? Because there are, many forms. No, I actually never have. It's really important to work with a physician or a healthcare provider to diagnose that arthritis, because it's maybe osteoarthritis. It may be one of these other forms of arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis, or it could be psoriatic arthritis. It could be bone cancer. It could be a lot of different things, but if you don't know, you can't treat it. So it's really important to figure out what you have to create a game plan to treat your arthritis. Next slide. So this is what I was talking about. You got to get it diagnosed. You got to figure out what's going on with your body in order to get a treatment plan. And so when you go to a doctor, because you've had joint pain, and be very specific. Don't show up for your wellness check and hope that your physician will talk to you about joint pain. They'll definitely put on that blood pressure cuff. They'll definitely ask you about your blood sugar. But if you have pain in your joints, speak up. Tell them that you have joint pain that's been lasting for more than 2 weeks and where it hurts, how much it hurts, and what it feels like. They'll take a medical history. They'll look at your joints. They may move your joints. They may even run some blood tests. They may look at joint fluid. And again, this is to sort of determine if this is inflammatory arthritis or if this is osteoarthritis. And they may do some imaging, X-ray or MRI. There are even some other types of imaging that they can do to take a look at the joint and see what's happening. And that will really help your doctor determine what type of arthritis you have. There isn't a single test for arthritis. There are many things that a doctor will consider. And then using all of those tests together and their expert judgment, they'll be able to determine what type of arthritis that you have. Next slide. Again, beyond the pain, osteoarthritis can cause poor sleep. I know people that are sleeping in recliners because their shoulders hurt so bad they can't lie on their back, or fatigue, or they're emotionally stressed out. They're falling down because their joints aren't stable. And maybe because you have a lot of joint pain, now you're starting to be more sedentary. So maybe you gained a little bit of weight. Now maybe your blood sugar is a little bit higher. Maybe your blood pressure is getting out of whack. So it can really cause a cascading effects when you don't take care of your joints. Next slide. So there are things that you can do for OA. And I really want to be clear about that, because many people sort of say, I have arthritis, but c'est la vie. Everybody gets arthritis. You just have to live with it. Of course, you have to live with it because it's better than the alternative. But there are things that you can do to reduce your pain and have higher quality of life. We can't cure it, but we can definitely manage it. Next slide. So physical activity. Everybody sort of sighs when I say the E word, but I want to let you know that being physically active is more than just going to the gym, right? And many people in agricultural careers can be physically active just through their work, but it's important that you're not just doing physical activity through your work, but you're also having some leisure physical activity. And it keeps your cartilage supple. I say motion is lotion, to rest is to rust. It helps strengthen your muscles, strengthen the soft tissue around your joint that sort of acts as a secondary shock absorber. It keeps your heart fit. It keeps you strong. It keeps you with good balance, good flexibility. Physical activity also just can help your mood, can make you feel better. And again, no one expects you to run a marathon or bench 300 pounds, but activities like walking, biking, swimming, those types of activities that can get your heart rate up a little bit, 30 minutes, a couple times a week, will really help improve your health. Next slide. Healthy eating. So farmers are great at producing healthy foods, and we want to make sure that we eat the green and red and orange and blue and all of these healthy foods and vegetables. Again, one doctor said it best when they said, eat real food, mostly plants, not too much. That's just great health advice. You want to eat your veggies, just like your grandma said. You want to eat lean proteins, and you don't want to eat too much. If you eat a diet, a diet, when you look down at your plate and you see lots of colors, you see those greens, you see those reds, blues, oranges, you're eating a healthy meal. If you're looking down and all you see is brown, it's probably fried and gravies and the things that maybe are a great treat, but maybe something that you shouldn't eat too much of. But if you're eating those sort of healthy foods, if you ask me for the best diet, there are lots of good choices. The Mediterranean diet is probably a go-to, but there are other great food choices that you can sort of tailor for your needs and your culture. Next slide. Keeping your weight down. Again, the best exercise for arthritis sometimes is the push away from your plate. It's all about calories at the end of the day, reducing your caloric intake and making sure that you are physically active to keep your weight down, because for every pound that you're overweight, it's an extra 4 pounds of pressure on your knees. So we do know that being overweight does lead to exacerbated pain from osteoarthritis. So it's not easy to lose weight. I want to be clear that there isn't a quick fix, but through goal setting, healthy diet, and physical activity, you can manage your weight in a healthy way. Next up. So other great strategies to manage your arthritis pain are things like, pacing heavy activity and your rest. When we feel good, we tend to want to do all of the things, and that can be dangerous because you can overwork your joints, overwork your body, have muscle soreness, and that just doesn't feel good. We'll talk a lot about some joint protection techniques from our friends at Agrability. We'll talk about how you can do your farm work in a way that is will reduce the stress on your joints. Next slide. Lots of great tools. And lots of other non-drug therapies. Our friends that do physical therapy and occupational therapy using assisted devices, everything from braces, again, Agrability, we'll talk about some great tools that you can use. Heat and ice, still just great therapies. If you want to check out touch therapies or acupuncture, there are some benefits to that. And cognitive behavioral therapy or journaling, prayer, meditation, those types of strategies that can sort of help you reduce the stress and the tension of living with chronic disease can make you feel better. Absolutely. Next slide. There are medications for arthritis, including over-the-counter medication and prescription medication. Unfortunately, our physician friend is not here right now, but I will say that there are lots of, it's important to just consider medical management of your arthritis and talk to your doctor about medical management, because there are medications that can help reduce inflammation and reduce pain. Next slide. Supplements. There are lots and lots of supplements. If you go into a CVS or into a pharmacy, there are rows and rows of them. Some of them can be helpful, but most of them, we just don't know. To be perfectly clear, there's just not a lot of research around supplements. So it's always best to talk with a doctor or talk with a pharmacist about the types of products that they would recommend, the ones that have been sort of independently verified through a laboratory, and making sure that the supplements don't interact with any other medication that you're taking. If you're really interested in some options, turmeric, fish oil, and glucosamine are probably the most research, probably the best bets, but again, talk to your doctor. Next slide. Again, all of the things that I talked about before about managing your stress. When you're tense and stressed out, your muscles are tense and you're putting extra stress on your joints. So finding things that you can do to sort of take care of yourself and enjoy life will be good for your joints. Next slide. For many people with osteoarthritis, they may need to consider joint surgery. That would probably be joint replacement. You can see on the slide there is an implant in that joint. The best recommendation I can give to you is what many orthopedic surgeons have told me, is that most people know when they're ready because they are no longer able to complete the activities of daily living anymore. You're having a lot of difficulty moving around, walking any distance. You're saying no to time with your friends because you're in pain or you can't get ready in time. You can't do the things that you want to do. You're having trouble bathing, cooking, cleaning, all of those things. And if you're having the type of pain that limits you from doing your activities of daily living, it's time to talk to an orthopedic surgeon about joint surgery options. Next slide. And lastly, getting care through the VA. If nothing else, I want to make sure that you know that the Veterans Administration does provide care for arthritis, and that you can find primary care providers and specialists. Dr. Chang, who was scheduled to be here, is a rheumatologist, and they do care for inflammatory arthritis and severe osteoarthritis, and they do have surgical referrals for joint surgery as well. So we'll have more information on our website, but if you are a veteran and you're considering care through the VA, it is a good option to consider. All right, next slide. We are going to move into the next portion of our program with Cindy Chastain and Ned Stoller. So Cindy is the Veteran Outreach Coordinator, and Ned Stoller is an occupational therapist who works with Agrability. And now I'm going to kick it over to Cindy. Thank you so much for being here. And you'll need to unmute yourself, Cindy.
Now, can you hear me?
Sure can. Great work.
Okay. Yes, I'm Cindy Chastain, the Veteran Outreach Coordinator for the National Agrability Project. And I just want to tell you a little bit about our mission and history and what Agrability does. And I am a veteran. I've served 30 years in the United States Army and have been doing this for about 7 or 8 years since then. And I am a small farmer, and I have arthritis, and most of my VA determined disability is related to arthritis issues that were exacerbated by military service. So some of you out there may be in the same situation I am, which we have a lot of arthritis issues, and it affects our farming. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's the mission of Agrability is to enhance the quality of life for farmers, not necessarily veterans, but we are reaching out to veterans as well. So we work with veterans and farmers that have disabilities so that they can continue to succeed as a farmer. So, and farming, we're talking farming, but we're talking agricultural businesses as well. So here's kind of what we do. We help them find appropriate assistive technology, and we, try to work with their disability and conditions so that we can help them, and as well as provide support for the family caregivers. Next slide, please. Agrability's been around for 30 years, but we've served veterans that entire time, but it's only been in the last maybe 7 or 8 years that we've actually been identifying those veterans and reaching them out to them, particularly with certain projects, with certain resources, and that's what we're doing. We have established a website, a web page on the Agrability website for veterans and beginning farmers with resources directed towards veterans and beginning farmers. And you can see the website there. Next slide. This is a slide about disabilities within the agricultural community, but you can see that a lot of these same disabilities will apply to veterans that receive their disability in the service or before or after the service. But some of the same things apply. Traumatic injuries, agriculture is a hazardous occupation, and being a veteran is definitely a hazardous occupation. So many of the injuries don't come from on the farm incidents. They can come from traffic accidents. They can come from military service. They can come from disease. They can come from the aging process. So you can see there arthritis impacts many farmers because of either their service or their farming activities or genetically. So disability is around, and we have to deal with it. Next slide. Disability types. You see arthritis there. We really deal with and can help with any kind of disabling conditions, and you can see most of them listed there, as well as mental and behavioral health issues and traumatic brain injuries, PTSD issues from the service. Next slide. We don't particularly enhance or talk about specific types of agriculture. We can talk about somebody that works in a tractor supply, as well as we can somebody that has just a garden in their backyard, or someone that farms 2,000 acres. So we don't differentiate other than what kind of assistive technology would best serve them in their field. Next slide. Here's where we're located right now, our projects. We have projects in 21 states. Those are the yellow states. The light gray states on this slide identify affiliated projects, which they may have had a project in the past, and they still have people that can provide support. And then the gray area slides or states are ones that don't have currently projects. Next slide. If your state does not have a project, you can still get support from the National Agrability Project, which is located in Indiana, but we can try to find you support in your state. So if you look at our website, we can help you there, or you can contact me and I can hopefully connect you with somebody in your state that can help you. Next slide. So some resources for farmers, ranchers, or veterans with disabilities. A lot of our state projects deal with and work with the state vocational rehabilitation system in their state. Veterans can, and we can work with the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, although the VA, the Veterans Benefit side of VA, their rehabilitation specialists are not usually very familiar with farming and agricultural careers, so you may have more of an issue there, but we can help you with that. And it may be easier to go through the state vocational rehabilitation system to get you assistance. But there's some other organizations there that can help you with your farming operation or your agricultural career operation. Next slide. Here's what we cannot provide. We're a USDA funded project that doesn't allow us to provide any direct funding to our clients around the country. So that doesn't, we can provide services, but we can't provide direct funding. We can't buy you equipment that you might want or need for your farming operation. That's why we go through the state vocational rehabilitation system to get you those if those are what you need. So, but we can also advise you what kind of accommodations you need and help you to find assistance and find assistance on purchasing those yourself. And you can see there, we also have a page on our website about grants and loans and funding assistance. Next slide. Our website is full of educational resources from everything from, beekeeping to gardening to any kind of disability you want to talk about. There's webinars that have been archived. There's training that has happened at our national workshops. It's all on our website. So take a look at our website. There's a lot of stuff on there. Next slide. I talked about this before, but we have a veterans and beginning farmers website or page on our website, and it has a bunch of resources. We're in the process of updating it right now. So probably here in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some additional resources that we've added, but it still has a lot of information there. So if you're a veteran or you're servicing a veteran, give them the link to this page, and I think that they can find some information that will be beneficial. Next slide. The toolbox, I'll let Ned talk about that as well, but we have on our toolbox, we have thousands of pieces of equipment that can help a farmer or rancher with a disability. So if you take a look at that before you meet with your with somebody that's going to help you hopefully get some of this equipment, you'll have a better idea of what's out there. Next slide. The main categories on the toolbox are there. You can do one of two things. You can actually put in what kind of of livestock or I mean a farming operation you have. You can sort that way. Like for example, if you are a cattle farmer and you put in there livestock handling, and it will bring that up. Or if you say you have a an issue with your back or arthritis or different things, it will also pull up different things that will help you with your whatever your disability might be. So there's a couple ways to sort through the toolbox categories. Slide, please. Other resources, we have these booklets on arthritis in agriculture, arthritis in gardening, which are great great reads and a lot of great information in these pamphlets. Back on the Farm, Back in the Saddle, which has a lot of things, though, back issues, which many of those with arthritis have back issues as well. And these are available also on the website. Slide, please. I think these are your slides, Ned. So Ned, I will turn it over to you. Ned is an assistive technology professional, and this is his forte, is identifying the needs of the farmer based on what their disabilities are and providing assistive technology recommendations. So Ned?
Okay, I will run through a spattering of different assistive technology devices that might help a farmer keep working. And just like Cindy mentioned, there's a huge variety of farm types, very large farms, small farms, livestock, beekeeping. And so here, one of the most common things we do is adding steps and grab bars onto tractors. And there's several tractors that you can buy a kit that just bolt on to your existing tractor. But the majority of the time it's go to the farm, do specific measurements and designing and build something that will go onto the tractor. That's usually a $400 accommodation. And on the right is a picture of a man lift from Life Essentials. This would be a higher tech option on larger equipment or for someone who's not able to climb at all to be able to access their equipment. Next slide. People with arthritis in their back, in agriculture, there's a lot of bending down that has to happen, whether you're sorting apples, pulling weeds, trimming hooves on a horse, or putting horseshoes on. It seems like in agriculture, we're always bending down. So this device is called a springs back, and the blue tube actually has a spring inside of it. The chest plate holds your torso up, and the leg pads brace against your legs so that whether you're doing a slight bend or a very deep bend, the springs back will hold the weight of your torso, and you can actually work in a bent down position and be fully supported with a relaxed lower back. Next slide. Getting down low to the ground when we're working in agriculture with vegetables, we either have to get down close to the ground or bring the ground up to us. And so this is an example of a do-it-yourself cart, probably $200, $250 worth of materials if you want to build your own. And we have the designs for this so that you don't have to reinvent the harvest cart. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And Agrability can help you find plans for things like that you want to do on your own. Next slide. If someone is keeping bees, the challenge is, as the honey is produced, you keep stacking the hive boxes taller and taller. And if you have arthritis in your shoulders, reaching up high to get those boxes on and off is going to be a challenge. And so this farmer used an old boat dock to be a platform and positioned the beehives around the dock. Now, what happens if you do that? Now, you need to get to the lowest boxes of your hive to inspect for queens or mites or do disease inspections. If you just make your hives down low to the ground, now you have to bend way down. If you have lower back pain, if you have arthritis in your back, now you're bent clear down close to the ground. So the benefit of this is when you need to do tall work, reaching the high boxes, you can go up on the boat dock platform and give your shoulders a break. But if you need to do inspections in the lower boxes of your hives, you just stand on the soil around and you don't have to bend down so far to do your inspections. And so I also have in this picture a hydraulic lift cart that can be jacked up and down. And so when you're unstacking the hives, you don't have to set them all the way down on the ground. You can put them on the cart and then lower the cart as you put more hives on it. So we have a lot of ideas for beekeeping for people with arthritis. Next slide. This is, instead of using the low profile cart to get down close to the soil, you can actually plant seeds or tomato plants from a standing position. This is a PVC pipe and a piece of cable and stretchy bungees around it that you could build your own, or you can go to standandplant.com and purchase one of these. But it allows you to plant your garden without bending your back if you have arthritis in your back or your knees getting up and down. Next slide. What do we call assistive technology? Well, it's anything that helps a person with a disability improve their function or maintain their function or do necessary tasks. So is an ATV assistive technology. And here's how I decide that on the farm. If you're out doing your work when you're healthy and then you develop a disability, arthritis becomes an issue, you have a military injury or something, and now you can't do those necessary tasks, but an ATV would allow you to, now I call an ATV assistive technology. And so if it is a specific task that you cannot do and some device enables you to do it, it's assistive technology. So this farmer uses his ATV to spray weeds, to plow snow, for mobility around his property on soft soil where he can't push his wheelchair. And so there's times that state rehabilitation agencies will purchase an ATV for someone to be able to keep doing their work on the farm. Next slide. If a person has carpal tunnel or arthritis in their hands, being able to keep their wrists straight. So if I can keep my wrist in a neutral position, I have full grip strength. If I have to bend my wrist in an awkward way and try to squeeze, I lose half of my grip strength abilities. So if a person has arthritis and they can grip a tool, and this specific device, it's called a Robo Handle, but it enables someone to work with one arm. So if you have one arm that's very badly injured or impaired by arthritis, you can do a garden hoe or a shovel with a single hand pretty effectively with this. And it's only $25. It's not something that's going to break the bank. Now, Cindy said that correctly, Agrability doesn't have funds to give money to clients, but we can help figure out low cost assistive technology and ways to do things that you can afford without spending tens of thousands of dollars. And so the low tech assistive technology is something that's very helpful for people without breaking the bank. Next slide. Okay, So Cindy and I are both available, and I think at the end of the session, we're going to have a question and answer period. Is that right, Nick? Okay.
That's right. Thank you, Ned and Cindy. This is such good information. All right, next slide, please. We are going to bring on our friends from the Farmer Veteran Coalition. We'll be introducing Jeanette Lombardo. Next slide. Jeanette, I'll let you introduce yourself. You've got a great biography here, so take it away.
Well, great. Thanks. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I am the Executive Director for the Farmer Veteran Coalition. I am also, among all the things listed there, I grew up, I'm a farmer, but also my family is heavily in the military. But more importantly for today's conversation, I have rheumatoid arthritis. And it is hereditary. It runs in both sides of my family. So I have a severe case of it, and has deteriorated my hands tremendously. I'm on Enbrel, Plaquenil, and Methotrexate. So I know the chronic pain situation and trying to perform your duties on a daily basis, and how we have to all manage diet, exercise, and medication to get through this. So I'm right in there with a lot of my veterans. Next page, please. So what is Farmer Veteran Coalition? So we are a national nonprofit. We have about 34,000 members right now. We're in every state, and we help people exiting the military who want to pursue either a career in agriculture, or they want to start their own farm. And so we do that in a number of ways. One is we help them with financial resources. There's beginning farmer and ranchers grants. We work with the SBA. We help with business planning. So we work with SCORE and a number of referral sources. We provide career counseling and job placement, training, and offer discounts to a lot of our members on a lot of products. We've been around for about 13 years. We just celebrated our 13th anniversary this year. Next page, please. So who are our members? So we're about 84% male, 16% female. You can see the breakdown in ethnicity. Service, we're pretty heavy on the Army side. And there's a constant battle between the Army and the Navy there. But yeah, about 74% of our members are post 9/11. So when you talk about the the age of retirement, that's part of it. Plus, as Cindy mentioned, the farming population as a whole is up in the 50s. So another reason that we're such tremendous partners with the Farmer Veteran Coalition is with the Agrability is because of our service-connected disability. So we have 59% of our members who have a disability of some fashion. So you're talking about anything from hearing loss because of artillery, vision loss, multiple amputations, the whole gamut. You imagine working in the military, having to do a run with a 40-pound rucksack on your back, or carrying any type of communications equipment, and you'll understand why arthritis is a huge impact on our members. Plus, I think, in farming, we do a lot of, like has been mentioned, lifting and bending and gripping and just stooping and climbing. And so all that has huge wear and tear on that. And we refer a lot of our members to Agrability and to the Arthritis Foundation. You have a tremendous website and blog posts that I use quite frequently, especially in even little things like picking out work boots, which boots work better. So, okay, next page, and keep going. So one of the ways we help the Agrability people their clients that need equipment that maybe don't have the money is we have a fellowship fund. And we are just ended actually on Monday this year's round of that. But we give out microloans between $1,000 and $5,000. And so if someone is looking for a piece of equipment and the cost is, one of the hurdles to achieving that, they can apply for the grant, and we can help them get some of the funds to do that. But we've awarded, we've been having the grant since 2011, and we've given out about $3.5 million of grants for over 800 farmers. Since that time, we're looking at giving away about $500,000 this year. We've received about 450 applications so far. So we can help in that regard. Also, on the next page, we give away tractors. So with Kubota, you'll see, next slide. There you go. So we give away some tractors with Kubota. We've given away 31 pieces of equipment here since 2015. And some of those are the ATVs. They have a wide range of equipment that's available. One of the things that Ned didn't show is they have, if you have livestock and you have, you think about it, when you're going to check on your livestock, you got to drive up, get off, open up the gate, get off, close the gate, get back on and go where you're going. Well, they have a collapsible fence that the ATV literally drives over and it springs back up. So there's little things like that that are just really make things easy. So the next slide. So we have farmers that grow everything from heirloom tomatoes to heritage livestock, honeybees, Christmas trees, shellfish, and all sizes of farms. So we have people growing indoors or glass houses, all the way up to, urban agriculture, all the way up to 2,500 acre farms. And they grow every possible commodity, and they use what they grow, and they do value added products, and they sell those products either at farmers markets or CSA. We have tried to help them with market access. Part of the way we do that is with our Homegrown by Heroes label. And, a lot of people, they may think that if someone is disabled, they don't need to work because they may have, income coming in. But the reality is everyone wants to work. Everybody needs a purpose to get up out of bed in the morning. And I think with farming, having to take care of animals or being responsible for growing something is a huge thing. And then being able to sell it, even if it's just a small portion or donate it. We have a lot of our farmers who donate either to the USO or donate to their local food, pantries. So there's that. We have about 2,500 certified Homegrown by Hero label folks around the country. Next. Okay, so for jobs. So one of the things I wanted to bring up here that I think was pertinent is, so we have a new relationship with Ag Careers. We're in the middle of redoing our website as well as Agrability, but before the end of this first quarter, we're going to have a plug in there with Ag Careers, which is actually an international ag placement agency. And one of the things they're going to have is remote jobs. And this is huge for our disabled population because they now, a lot of times when people get out of them, folks may have gone into the military because there wasn't a lot of job opportunities in the rural communities. And then when they get out, they may have a disability and want to go home to have the support of their family, but there's still no jobs. So I think the remote job, it helps them with the job market and getting jobs that are, so they're not underemployed. But also I think it helps if you're trying to start a farm, but you maybe need a little off-farm income. So we're looking at launching that this year. So I wanted to talk about that real quickly. And then the next slide. Okay. So we have a number of different projects that we're doing, and one is the Ag Vet grant. And I wanted to talk about that because, if you're looking at entering a farming, especially when you're exiting a career in the military, you may not have a lot of expertise or need some training or want to just try it out and see if this is really what you want to do. So we have a federally funded grant through the USDA, and we have 4 partners across the country in different types of farming. We have Archie's Acres, Rodell Institute, Dairy Grazing, and Battleground Breaking Ground, which is down in Texas. And we, you get to do an internship or an apprenticeship, and we help pay for that, and stipends for, you know, your living expenses during the program. Next slide. Okay, so we also have a new program that we're working on. This year is a cooperative agreement with the USDA, and it basically focuses on those 4 areas. So financial literacy, so thinking about when you're starting a farm and you're having to work on a crop plan and you've never done a crop plan before. So how do you do that? You know, and we introduce them to the whole plethora of USDA programs out there that are there to support them and help them with market planning and technical aspects. So just everything is technical when it comes to farming. How far apart you have to place your plants, to the pests that you have to try to control, just understanding the markets. There are so many things that have to be taken into consideration. And when you're beginning farmer and rancher, you need some helps from time to time, and we're there to help you with as well as your local extension office. The next slide. So this is a new project that we've just taken on, and I have to tell you, Nick, we're seeing a lot of arthritis in the Native American population too. This is a contract that we've started where we're currently doing a survey and some listening sessions, and we're looking at helping the Native American Ag Fund start some regional food hubs across the country. During COVID, they got hit pretty hard, and a lot of the USDA food boxes that were prepared were delivered there. So we're helping them in that regard. And I'm sure I'll be seeing Cindy here soon at their conference in Madison, Wisconsin. I was going to tell her, but this is a population that really needs to hear about Agrability and what they can offer. So, and then next, just real quick, you can go to our map with the state chapters on it. We are developing chapters throughout the country, because when it comes to farming, we all need our peers to help us. And if you're in the military, you like the camaraderie that comes with, meeting together. But when you're farming, it's even more important. So if your tractor breaks down, it's good to know some farmers in your area that can help you out, or you can't find labor to harvest. And sometimes it's just good to commiserate together. So we've broken the country down into 10 regions, and those regions normally grow the same thing. They may have the same pest pressures. They may have the same trade issues. And they know the local resources, whether it's for arthritis or disability or for farming. And so the chapters have really become a really great way to take our national mission and spread it throughout the country. And then you can go all the way to our stakeholder conference. Just want to let everybody know that we will be meeting in November in Oklahoma City. And we'll be as always, talking about Agrability and ag safety. And maybe we'll have even the Arthritis Foundation join us there. But that's, and the last page just has some contact information for you. And I'd like to thank you for having me here today, Nick.
Thank you. This has just been such awesome information. On the next slide, I want to share some information about the Arthritis Foundation's Veterans Services. So we do have a veterans hub at arthritis.org/veteran. I encourage you to check that out. And if nothing else, please join our virtual military Connect group. Connect group is what we call our support groups, and our Connect group meets about every other month or so. And it's veterans from across the country living with arthritis, dealing with similar issues just like you. And we're building a national community, and we'll soon be, as we ease out of the pandemic, having more and more in-person opportunities to meet as well. But platforms like this provide an opportunity to get together, especially if you're in a rural area, to meet up with other folks that sort of have lived the life that you have and have been in the service and understand what it's like to sign your name on that line, to give your responsibility to this country. And we just appreciate all the service the veterans have given this community and the freedom that we have because of it, and the food that we eat because of the veterans, because of programs like this. I'm just so grateful for Agrability and the Farmer Veteran Coalition for joining us today. This is a time to chat in a question if you have a question, and we'll be happy to answer it. As we are waiting for at Q&A to pop up in the slide, I will just ask, I'll throw it out to Cindy. If you are a vet and you've thought, maybe I want to transition into an agricultural career, how do I get started? You know, are there some basic tips for, you know, how do I even, you know, put a plan together or get land together or think about the types of the type of farm that I might want to have?
Yeah, there is a lot of resources out there for training, for financial assistance, for maybe finding a mentor, those kind of things. That we have a lot of those listed on our website. If somebody wants to contact me, and I can provide you some resources. There are many different training programs, all the way from, you know, a 1-week immersive training in a farming. There's programs available to help you develop maybe your farm business plan. There are ways you can get help, but until we know, we have to delve a little bit deeper on where do you want to be, where you know, do you have land, do you need access to land, what you want to do, those kind of things we would have to delve into a little deeper, but we can provide resources and help you find some people that can help you.
Yeah, but I'd have to agree with Cindy. You know, land is, there's the two biggest hurdles are land and money, right? So it takes a lot of capital equipment. Tractors aren't cheap. You know, land is expensive, but you don't have to own land to farm. A lot of people lease land, and they do contract growing on them. You know, it's really finding the land, figuring out what grows in your area, where there's markets. You know, who's going to buy what you're growing. Sometimes you have to take soil and water samples into the extension office and have them analyze your soil and figure out, you know, what you can grow if you have to put supplements on. You know, and money is always a hurdle, but you know, I think with farming, what we see is a lot of people start small and scale, and they may rent land for a little bit, and then you know, eventually be able in a situation to purchase ground. So I think it's really, when you go into it, you have to, and a lot of people they'll have like I said, off-farm job. They'll start the farming sort of as a hobby, right? And then every year it grows and grows and grows until they get to the point where they can exit and enter the farming full time. So yeah, but there's a lot of resources. We help, you know, you have to get some experience to go into a bank and get a loan to do, you know, to buy equipment or operational loan or a line of credit. So I think, you know, the apprenticeships and internships are important. Even, you know, working on a farm is important initially to get that experience. But, we help you draw up realistic budgets with projections that, are realistic. So there's that whole piece in there that's important. And one of the things too is, on the career piece, even as well, when you're going into the bank and presenting your business plan, taking what you've done in the military and converting it into civilian job skills is another thing that we really help people with, because it's hard for someone who doesn't understand the military to totally grasp what you do. And I think the reason farming is so attractive to people exiting the military is because, when they are in the service, they have huge responsibilities, a lot of equipment, a lot of men. You have missions that you had to complete on a given time, and you had to make that deadline because everybody else around you was relying on you. And so it's hard to leave that and go into just a regular job. But farming is very complex. And especially when you start looking at precision agriculture. So you're looking at drone flying and soil and water, precision ag tools. You're dealing with having to know how to run an algorithm to run irrigation water. I mean, it's very difficult, and having to deal with crop protection tools or weather or everything else. So I think that's why it's such a draw, is because it is so complicated, and there is so much that is out of your control. But
great advice, and just really helps clarify what it takes to move into that career. Now, Ned, we saw all of those great devices that you showed, and I bet a lot of people are thinking, wow, I'd really like to get some of that stuff. And like that Toolbox has thousands of products. Are any of these things available at our local, Tractor Supply, Farm and Fleet, or is everything online? How do I, we can look at the Toolbox, but how does someone acquire some of these great adaptive equipment?
Well, you could think of the Toolbox as browsing and finding the concepts, and then a lot of those ideas in the Toolbox, it tells who the manufacturers are and where they can be purchased. But then if you have further questions, I'm the assistive technology specialist for the National Agrability Program, and you can call and ask me, what do you think? Will this work for me? Where can we get it? And I can advise on that. That's if you're not from a state that has Agrability. But if your state has an Agrability program, call them directly, and they can actually come to your farm and talk to you in more detail about specific devices for you.
Do you all work with the state extension offices as well?
The state extension offices will a lot of times make referrals to Agrability, and they have, at least in Michigan, they have our literature in all of their offices. And I know the National Agrability Program provides resources to all the county extension offices periodically. So they should be well aware of Agrability.
Fantastic. These are, again, fantastic resources from just amazing organizations doing great work, serving those who really need it most. Arthritis truly affects veterans in a way that is just not fair. And we're all here to help you live your best quality of life and be a productive member of society. We hope that you've enjoyed this program. We hope that you will share these resources with your community. And please do check out Agrability and the Farm Vet Coalition for more and more resources. We'll post this on our websites, including the Arthritis Foundation. And I want to thank our speakers for just doing a fantastic job today. And if you have any other questions, you can find our websites and we'll be here for you. But thanks for all that you do. Signing off.